I'm Nick Tandy and you're watching SAFEisFAST. I mean, nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. Everyone's going to crash. One of the things that you need to practice, and honestly, the more it happens, the better you get, you learn how to crash best.
I think many drivers, when they know they're on the limit and they lose the car, they have a big oversteer or they go off track, I think some of them, the first reaction is just to let go and try to protect themselves. But sometimes it's worth trying to fight in it.
It doesn't have to be your fault. Something can break, someone can hit you, where you really need to react in a split second. When you start to lose the car, it really depends on milliseconds, I would say. The earlier you can react, the less likely you are about to hit the wall.
You know a plan how to protect yourself. You always try and save the car and save that crash until the last moment.
If you see a bump on track, if you're going through traffic and you have to go on the dirty side of, so always try to anticipate what potential hazard might occur before it actually happens. I would say that's awareness. It's probably the biggest thing to avoid a crash.
You can often get out of a crash by recognizing, okay, I'm going to spin, so I need to. If you're going backwards, you can come off the brake. You can clutch the car if you're running a clutch pedal or a clutch paddle, and try and rotate the car back in a straight direction, so then you can gain control. If there's any way you can spin and regain control, it's a much better way to handle mistakes that are going to happen.
We've seen some drivers being out for a few races, not because of the crash itself, but not removing the hands from the steering wheel when you're about to hit a wall, and then the kickback of the steering wheel might hurt a wrist or a hand or break a finger, whatever, and then the crash wasn't even that bad, but you might be out of a race car for a month or two.
Unfortunately, I had a very big crash in DTM a couple of years ago. I got hit by another car doing 250 kph, and I was a passenger. There is not much you can do, but weirdly enough, it feels like you have plenty of time to think when that happens before you hit the wall. So you're just trying to catch your breath, and get ready for impact is the only thing.
The worst thing you can do is to lose control of the situation. It's sometimes better to come off the brake and nose into a wall situation than lock down the car and go in rearwards on an angle. Even though the car is becoming out of control on the racing surface, you still might have half a second, a few tenths, or even a second or two before the car makes contact.
If you have drive, it's always a good thing to get the car out of the barriers and bring it home. But obviously without making it any more damage than whatever it is.
Yeah, normally you try everything you can to bring the car into pit lane. Even if it's missing one wheel, you're like, oh, maybe our mechanics can fix it. Especially on endurance races, you just want to get the car to pit lane or to the garage as quick as possible.
There's a big trick in that as well, because if you have a puncture or something's loose and rubbing on a tire or something, if you just come back at full speed, everything's going to rip off and a little damage can become a huge damage. So bringing the car back safely is a big thing.
The safest spot after a crash is inside of the car. Important to keep the seatbelts on. There's always a chance that someone else hits you. So imagine you unbuckle your seatbelt or you even try to get out of the car. It can be really dangerous.
You don't want to be in a bad spot on track and jump out of the car too quickly. It's much safer to be able to stay in the car for a longer period and wait for the marshal's directions.
They know better. We're in the car, our adrenaline is up there, we want to get out, we're angry or whatever, and we need to listen to them. They have a much bigger, wider view of what's going on around us.
For sure, you always want to check on your fellow competitors if it has been a bad accident, especially if you're involved in it.
But there's always a limit to it. If there is a session that is still not neutralized, it's quite dangerous to do that.
Well, it's a nice thing to do, absolutely, but again, we can't forget there's another, I don't know how many cars out there at full speed potentially if it's very, very short near the crash. So it's not always safe. It's a very good deed, but again, the marshals are there to do that job.
Me personally, I really, after something happened, my brain or my mind tries to delete it out of my memory.
I find it's just very important to jump back into the car again as soon as possible when you're in a healthy state. Also back to go-karts, if you had a crash, it's always good as a kid to jump back in again and feel comfortable again.
Don't forget to subscribe and click the like button for more driver tutorials.
And let us know in the comments what you'd like to see next.